G'day, Michael here. The Core XY frame is getting to the point where I need to wire it up. There's still a bit of a dry assembly just to see all the bits and bobs work together. I've yet to complete the welds. You can see I've just tacked them. But before I get too carried away with welding it all solid, I want to make sure that I've got everything adding up properly. I'm fairly confident that it's right, but I want to see it. Maybe even get it to do a test print before I actually do the final welds. Now I've got this thing constructed in sort of two frames. One is the actual printer frame, which is aluminium, corner blocks, are 3D printed, holding the idler pulleys and the motor on the other end. And of course the XZ carriage, which currently I've got it strapped so it doesn't move around. But it's all held in quite a sturdy 50mm square tubing steel frame. Now, it's actually quite light in weight. I haven't actually weighed it, but to pick up, there's not much weight in it. But to get it onto the workbench, so I can do the wiring without crawling around hands and knees, here's the workbench. This is typical workbench height. I've got this pallet lift. It lifts 1 ton in weight, and it lifts 800 odd millimeters off the floor. Now I'll actually crank it up now. I can't hold the camera and crank it at the same time, but I'll crank it up so you can see what it does. Okay, so you can see it elevated. The bench is 900 millimeters high, and the lift lifts to 800 millimeters. So I'll have a little bit of jiggling to get onto the bench, but it's certainly easily managed. Now the main reason why I use that lift is so I don't have to kind of mishandle the frame. What is important about how this works, see if I can get it all in the picture, it's got a very large hydraulic ram that lifts, well, that 800 millimeters. But what is very important in the design is you've got the typical pair of wheels like you have on most pallet jacks, but when you elevate this thing, of course, it will become very unstable. So I've got these sort of outriggers on here that as you lift probably about 300 millimeters off the ground, they make contact with the floor with the way this component here arcs up. This comes down and makes contact with the floor. They are adjustable. In fact, I've adjusted them myself, so I've got the ability to roll around with about 200 millimeters clearance of the floor. But you know, it's up to you to tune it in a logical way. It is important once it's elevated, particularly if it's going to carry a ton in weight, that it becomes stable. So it's kind of like a pallet jack, which becomes a scissor lift, a static scissor lift. It's not to be rolled around with a heavy load on it, and it'd be certainly no good on an uneven surface. You'd need to have it on a good surface so these things work properly, and you do not want it rocking to and fro with a 1 ton weight on it. Yes, the controls are very well the same as any other pallet jack really, but they are more gentle. So if you press the release, it doesn't go down at like 100 millimeters a second. It goes down maybe 20 millimeters a second. It's quite a lot more gentle, which makes a lot of sense when you're managing a heavy weight, such a high distance. You want to be able to control it. Well, I guess that's it. There's not much more to say. You know, any advertiser will tell you all sorts of things about their product. I'm not here to talk about those things. But here's the primary functions anyway. And they've also got some safety alerts on here. Actually, I might just go through that. They've even thought of little people that can stand underneath that fork in the label. So it's quite impressive they've thought of such little people. And you're not meant to ride around on top of it. I thought that'd be an amusement. Well, it is amusing to me. Alright, well that's it from me. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, ask a question, leave a comment. Bye for now.